Hello guys, this is Nick from forexfornoobs.com with my midday analysis. If you enjoy this analysis, please hit the like button below and hit the subscribe button below to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more analysis, webinars, and awesome Forex education videos. Before I start, I want to tell you how my analysis works. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I hold a live analysis session. In the analysis, I cover all the pairs I'm currently trading. This is usually 10 to 20 pairs, and I do multi-timeframe analysis on those pairs. Multi-timeframe analysis means that I look at every timeframe I have for each pair. I do not trade all of those timeframes though. I use them for analysis. The only timeframes I actually trade are the 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and daily. The reason I do this is because price action is fluid. Price is always moving. If you look at a single time frame, you are seeing a single snapshot of price, and that can be misleading. By looking at a lot of different time frames, you get more snapshots, which gives you a much clearer idea of what price is doing right now. This also ensures that I rarely miss a trade setup. I do my multi-time frame analysis 2 to 4 times per day, so every 4 to 8 hours. This ensures that I see almost every candle forming, which makes it hard to miss a setup. I only post my analysis to YouTube once per day though, as I cannot record every time I do my analysis. You should remember, I do not find trade setups every time I do analysis. Trade setups are not always there when you want them to be. If I do not find a trade setup in the midday analysis, I might find one in the next analysis I do later in the afternoon or the evening. Trade setups aren't always there when you want them, and just because I'm doing analysis, it doesn't mean I'm going to find a setup. Also, if I do find a setup, remember that these are just potential setups. Not every setup I find is actually going to turn into a trade. Many of these setups will never trigger, or they'll just be cancelled. Just because I say that I'm considering entering a setup, it doesn't mean that the setup will actually trigger. But when they do trigger, I enter them, and I post the updates to my blog, which is linked to below. Finally, you may notice that I sometimes fast forward through parts of this analysis. I do this when I cannot find any setups on the pairs that I'm looking at. It saves you watching 5 minutes of me running through charts and saying there's no setup here. So I'll just fast forward through those boring parts. Anyway, enjoy the analysis. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of September 2016, and the time is 11:08 here in the UK. You're looking at a Euro GBP daily chart, and let's get started with the analysis. Alright, so Euro GBP seems to be finally making its move up. It could very well push back down, but for those of you who haven't watched the analysis on Tuesday and Wednesday, we've been watching Euro GBP for a few days now for a potential short trade from this resistance area up here. Now, what's been happening is price started stalling a little bit below the resistance area, which kind of gave me a lot of hesitation as to whether I should enter a short trade here. The reason being that I wanted indecision to form further up in this resistance area. That way I could get a better stop loss, because my stop loss needs to be beyond the resistance area. So my stop loss needs to be up here. So if I were to enter a short down here with a stop loss all the way up there, the stop loss would be way too big and I wouldn't be able to get a decent risk to reward ratio on this trade. But now, this Thursday, almost the end of the week, we're starting to see what is potentially a bullish move up into this resistance area. So realistically, we're probably not going to see anything on this pair until Monday. We've been watching it since Tuesday, but it's really taking a long time to develop. So what I'm hoping for over the next few days with this pair is for price to push up to here, indecision to form here, and then to get a reversal down. But we've got to keep an eye on it and see what happens. I'm not prepared to enter short around about this area. You know, I was considering it earlier this week, but I'm not going to do that. I ran some risk analysis on a potential setup here, and it just doesn't fit within my parameters for taking a trade. It's just way too risky. So ideal situation with Euro GBP, price continues to push up. We get indecision here, and then we can enter a short trade. But other than that, Euro GBP is somewhat off the table. If this candle pushes up to there, it's going to be another, at least another few days until we get a setup. So we're looking at this candle, the Thursday, Friday indecision, Monday potentially taking a trade, or Tuesday. We'll have to see how that plays out. So yeah, Euro GBP is off the table for now. Let's check out GBP USD and see what it's doing. Okay, so yesterday we were discussing a potential long trade on GBP USD. I didn't end up entering that long trade. Now, actually, it wouldn't be at target quite yet, but it would have moved up and made its way to target. But, you know, for me, we're talking about this support area and it being a bit above the support area, and I didn't really feel that safe entering, but I kind of wanted to enter, blah, blah, blah. I didn't end up entering because Euro USD looked like a much better trade. Now, Euro USD triggered on the 12-hour. I was watching it on the daily, but I ended up taking it on the 12-hour, hit its target, and now it's stalling a bit at its 1 to 2 target. This was a good trade. Who else entered this one? And did anyone enter GBP USD instead? Now, where's the chat thing gone? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so who else entered this one? All right, Vin, you entered. Stu, you entered. Have you guys hit your target yet? All right, Vin, so you're out, and Stu, you're out. Anyone else? Nope. Oscar is typing. You took AUD New Zealand? Okay. All right, cool. Well, I was hoping that someone was still in because I wanted to discuss how to manage this trade if you were still in, but it doesn't look like anyone took it that stayed in the trade. So I guess we can skip that part. But yeah, this was a pretty decent trade. Did anyone get into the USD CAD trade I mentioned yesterday? This one's still open, but it's likely going to be open for quite some time. This is based on the 2-day chart. Anyone jump into the USD CAD trade? You missed it? I could see why people were hesitant to jump into this trade, it being on the 2-day chart. You know, it's not something that we've traded that often, or to be honest, not at all. I think we did a 2-day chart trade on the forum a few weeks back, if I remember. That was the first one ever. I can't remember if that one was profitable or not. This one seems to be going well right now. I got into this one. Obviously it's not hit its target yet. I've set my target at 1.5. I got in with a drastically reduced position size though, because this is just kind of like a test trade with the 2-day chart. But yeah, it's going well so far. We're gonna have to see how it plays out over the coming days. Probably not gonna see a resolution to this trade until next week, unless we get, you know, a major push down by the end of this week. But we're gonna have to see how that plays out. To anyone watching the recording who jumped into this trade, I would definitely say hold on to this position. It still is looking pretty good. We got a very strong move from sellers. Sellers just like went down really, really quickly, a lot faster than I was expecting actually. So we got some nice support on our side from sellers, and it doesn't look like that support's going to die out right now. So I could easily see this hitting our 1.5 risk to reward ratio target. All right, let's check out AUD New Zealand. All right, Oscar, you entered AUD New Zealand, you were saying? Based on, was a little bit below. What time frame were you trading that AUD New Zealand move on? Okay, I can see it on the 3-day. A little bit below resistance though. Support even. Ah, you were looking at Elliott Wave. This actually was a pretty cool pullback trade. Pullbacks are a pattern that I've been looking at over the last few days. It's a price action pattern that when price falls below a support area or above a resistance area, a lot of the times it's going to pull back to the resistance area, sometimes continue from there on, or sometimes just treat that resistance area as resistance and continue its move down. But I've seen some evidence that trading that pullback is actually pretty effective. But yeah, good work with the AUD New Zealand one. I mean, it was a pretty good reversal. I probably would not have entered it myself personally because it was a bit below the resistance area. Sorry, the support area even. But support became resistance when it broke below. And you know, if we look back, yeah, it's a good support area. So I probably would have skipped that trade. But good work. All right, AUD USD is actually doing something pretty interesting right now. I was looking at it earlier today before this analysis. AUD USD is forming indecision on, up here near this resistance area. Now, this resistance area was placed based on these last two bounces. Wait, let's go to the daily. It looks a lot clearer on the daily. So it was placed based on these last two bounces here, and then this one. So price bounced away from this area and now it's heading back up. But on the 12-hour chart, it looks like it's starting to stall already. Now we've seen a lot of this recently where price doesn't quite reach the resistance area. Instead it stalls before hitting the resistance area. So I'm a little bit hesitant to call this a proper setup or jump into this trade. But this is definitely something I'm going to watch over the course of the day. I might be willing to enter a short trade here, but yeah, it's pretty far from resistance, so we'll have to see how it goes. Ideally, with AUD USD, what I'd want to see is for price to push up and form indecision here. That would be a stronger setup. Let's check out CAD CHF, see what that's doing. Yeah, nothing much. Euro AUD. All right, yeah, we've actually got a setup on Euro AUD. I was looking at this before the analysis also. I adjusted my support resistance areas a bit on this one. Let's drop down the time frames a bit. This was posted to the forum, so it wasn't me who discovered it. I don't want to take credit for it. I think Tej posted it to the forum. But it's starting to look like a pretty decent setup, really, both on the 12-hour and the daily. So how would I trade this setup? All right, so basically it would be something like this. We can get 1.7 risk to reward ratio by the time it reaches this minor support resistance here. This minor support resistance is a bit concerning. You know, that stuff through there, because last time price tried to push up through here, it really struggled and it bounced away before starting its move back up. So I don't want to see the same thing happen, you know, something like that. So ideally with this one, I'd want to get out at about 1.5 to 1.7 risk to reward ratio, because that gets me out before price gets stuck in this area. Now, of course, with any minor support resistance, if I am there to monitor the trade and price starts pushing straight through it, then I will remove my target and let it run. But if I'm not going to be around for the close of this trade, if it even triggers, let's say theoretically this trade triggers, I get in. If I'm not going to be around for the close, then I'm just going to set my target at the 1.5 or 1.6 probably risk to reward ratio. That way I get out there. Yeah, but if I'm around to monitor it, I'm going to remove that target and I'm going to monitor it as it pushes into this area and just get a feel for what price is doing. If buyers are clearly in control and they start pushing up, then I'll leave this open. But this looks like a pretty strong setup for today, and it's definitely something I'm going to be watching. Probably realistically, it probably won't trigger until Friday because we need this candle to close first. But if you want to take it on the 12-hour, then yeah, it might trigger today. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I always prefer to go up higher to the daily. But yesterday I was looking at GBP USD and Euro USD on the daily, and then I ended up taking it on the 12-hour because it broke, and I thought they were pretty strong setups and they met all my criteria, so it was worth the entry. So I'm going to be monitoring this on the 12-hour and the daily, and we'll just see how it plays out over the course of today. All right, let's check out CAD JPY real quick, see what's going on here, but nothing much is going on. My charts are loading real slow. Yeah, nothing much is happening there. AUD JPY, similar story to CAD JPY. Nothing much that's tradable there. Euro CAD is in between two support resistance areas, so we're probably not going to see anything here. Well, we're definitely not going to see anything here. I'll drop down through the timeframes anyway, but EURAUD JPY has already reversed. It's in the middle of a reversal. Check this out, and this we got the same reversal on USD JPY. Looked a little bit better on USD JPY actually. Yeah, so this one was a pretty decent reversal. Triggered around about here. Sadly, I had just woken up, so I wasn't really looking. I wasn't watching, so I kind of missed this one. That's pretty much the only time I miss a setup, if I'm asleep. If it triggers while I'm asleep, then you can't do much about it, because this one moved so fast I didn't really see it coming, to be honest. So I didn't even have my alarm set up. But whatever, I was already in setups anyway, so I wasn't that bothered. Did anyone actually enter this Euro JPY or the USD JPY trade, which, let's move this up to here, is pretty much a very, very similar, all the same setup. Did anyone enter either of these? Because they weren't posted to the forum, which was surprising, really. I would have expected these setups to be posted to the forum. Alright, doesn't look like anyone traded it. You guys did not get into many trades today, did you? Daily GBP AUD, let's drop down the time frames. But it's in between two support resistance areas, so yeah, we're not going to see much there. GBP CAD, same story between two support resistance areas. I'm not even looking at these timeframes properly. They're not loading for some reason. It's loading so slow. All right, these are loading slow for some reason, and there's obviously not a setup here, so let's just skip to GBP JPY, which is also going to load slow apparently. I don't know if it's my internet today or if it's TradingView being laggy, but it's kind of annoying. Did anyone enter long on GBP JPY? GBP JPY had the same setup to Euro JPY and USD JPY. New Zealand CAD. Yeah, New Zealand CAD's actually completing a pullback. You know the setup I was talking about, the one we're discussing in the forum, like the experimental setup? In case you gues haven't seen it, I put up a new section to the forum. It's about halfway down the main section. it's called experimental price action or something like that. And basically we're looking into trading different setups other than reversals, which is pretty exciting. We're looking to trade continuation trades, but there's also this pattern that was identified by, not me, by a long-term member. He emailed me and he suggested trading this kind of setup, and I started looking into it, and it's looking really good, and that is pullback. So when price breaks through a strong area of resistance or support, a lot of the times it falls back into that support area. So here, and then it either breaks down or bounces back up. But we're not that interested in the breakdown or the bounce back up. Well, we might be interested in the bounce back up in terms of a continuation, but for this specific setup, we're more interested in trading that pullback down to this support area, which, you know, it is a setup that definitely has some potential. The more I've looked at it, the better it started to look. This one would have been a bit tough to enter with the stop loss, but it does look like it's on its way to being a successful pullback. So we're going to be discussing that more and more in the forum in the coming weeks. Yeah, nothing much going on in New Zealand USD, and USD CHF is probably also, yeah, it's also pretty quiet. Danny, are you here? Let me check. Nah, Danny's not here today. Well, Danny, if you're watching the recording, I hope you continue to hold your USD CHF trade, because it should have hit target by now. Well, that pretty much is it for the pairs today. So to sum up, we've got Euro AUD that's looking good. What was the other one? AUD USD, that was it. AUD USD looking somewhat decent, especially on the 12-hour. It's stalling right now. I'm not sure if I'll enter this one. I need to run some proper risk analysis, but it does look somewhat decent, and it does look like it might be worth a trade. So we'll keep an eye on this one. But Euro AUD is the one that's looking best today. And it's looking good across multiple timeframes, really. Even on the lower ones, like the 6-hour, the 8-hour too. You know, it's looking good across multiple timeframes. It might be something I enter on the 12-hour. I'll be keeping a close eye on this one and seeing how it plays out. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up below. If you have any questions regarding this video, then leave a comment below and I'll respond to it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get notified as soon as I upload my videos. My Facebook and Twitter are in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and happy trading.